afternoon, isn't it, already? Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing?
Great.
Excellent. My name's Jonathan Martin. I'm president at WEKA. I know these days it's not great to be associated with presidents, but in the context of WEKA, that means I look after the global sales, marketing, and customer success team. Welcome to stop number 9 on our 16-city tour around the world. In, as you can tell by my accent, in my hometown of Los Angeles. So I live in Malibu, so this is the shortest commute I've done to one of these, which is fantastic. So I can get a feel of who's in the room. Put your hand up, who is like really early on your AI journey? Who's kicking the tires, doing a bit of research, here to learn a bunch of stuff? All right, good 50% of the audience, okay. Who's that next step along? Who's kind of using some technology, doing a proof of concept? Small number of people. And who would describe themselves, they've got this AI thing down, they've mastered it, they've been using it for 2 or 3 years? Absolutely nobody. Well, actually, one person.
I'm going.
You're going there, awesome. Anybody realising they're in the wrong presentation at this point and they want to use the pharmaceutical thing? No. All right. So this is tight. So we started this, what, 8-ish weeks ago in Boston, and when the teams came to me and said, we're going to call this thing Titans, I'm like, Titans? What the heck is a Titan? So of course I went to our new overlord, ChatGPT, and I said to explain to me how do I explain what a Titan is to a bunch of data nerds? And this is what it came back with. So first of all, Titan is the biggest planet or the biggest moon to Saturn, if you're an astronomer. Particularly interesting to scientists because of its deep hydrocarbon oceans and its deep nitrogenous atmosphere. So that's a Titan. If you are a sports medicine person or you're an anatomist, that's a hard one to do. If you're an anatomist, anyone know what a Titan is? Titan, also spelled T-I-T-E-N, is a macroprotein, a very large protein which is responsible for how our muscles expand and contract. Titan, if you're a chemist or a physicist, is the tritium ion tritium atom something or other laboratory, the infamous Titan lab. And then it also came back, there's this green rock called Titan, which when I read the description, I'm like, well, that's not Titan, that's Speen, because my undergrad, I'm a volcanologist. Thank God that didn't work out. And this thing's actually called Titanite. So I'm like, okay, we are down the wrong rabbit hole here, ChatGPT. So I go back and I worked a bit on the prompt engineering and just asked it quite simply, define what a Titan is. And here we began to get something that's a bit closer. So Titan is something, a groundbreaking study or a groundbreaking research or study that reshapes an understanding of particular phenomenon within a field. It is an influential figure, an eminent scholar, a researcher, a thinker whose contributions have left an indelible mark on their discipline. It is a monumental concept, a core discipline or concept that forms the foundation of the field's theoretical framework and often referenced and built on subsequent research and scholarship. It is a set of game-changing innovations, technical advancements or innovations that have revolutionized the field, enabling new avenues of research, experimentation or analysis, or a set of high historical milestones, key moments or events in the history of the discipline that have had a transformative impact on development and evolution. This sounds a little bit more like the times that we're living in, a time of absolutely revolutionary research. You saw a number of the influential figures, like even my mom is able to tell me, not that she's not a very smart lady, I was just surprised when she started to explain to me who Sam Altman was and what OpenAI was all about. She has far too much time to read these days. Monumental concepts, so certainly lots and lots of big new concepts, game-changing innovations, check, and a number of historical milestones. So we are without doubt living in a period of incredible innovation, a period of incredible experimentation, and we're going to share a little bit about that today. I'm sure any of you go on the internet, you look at any article, you will see that AI is going to change, well, depending on which article you're reading, the world for good or for bad, but it is going to change the world dramatically in the next few years. Everything from using it for foreign policy, so Lloyd Johnson, the third Department of Defense Secretary, is actively advocating or pulling in lots and lots of AI companies at the moment to help with foreign policies. You're looking at personal research, lots and lots and lots of things where AI is going to change the world. This change is so big that I don't know whether any of you saw the Bill Gates article in the Wall Street Journal in March earlier this year, but Bill Gates said that AI, and particularly generative AI, is going to be bigger and more impactful than the microprocessor was in the 80s, which I found quite amazing that it was Bill Gates, and I know we are in the hallowed halls of Bill Gates here, but bigger than the microprocessor in the 80s, bigger than the internet was in the 2000s. So something that will have a transformative, or as he described it, a tectonic shift on all aspects of society over the next 5 to 10 years. To put that into economic terms, McKinsey tried to describe how big the economic impact of generative AI is going to be, and they described that next year, $4.4 trillion of new wealth will be created on the planet from the use of generative AI. So these are new companies that are being formed, these are new revenue streams that are being created, these are ways of transforming opportunity into revenue. Now, I don't know about you, but anything more than about 100,000, I have a hard time visualizing. I know what 100,000 looks like because that's about the size of a big soccer stadium. Anything beyond that, I really have no idea what that looks like, but certainly can't visualize 4.4 trillion. So the only way I can best describe it to you is the UK GDP, the world's sixth largest economy, is $3.3 trillion in size this year, at least. And so I'm not sure that I believe those numbers, having now presented them 9 times, but it's going to have a big impact, regardless. So, this is starting to feel a lot like kind of 1998, 1999 with the dot-com bubble. There are tons and tons and tons of companies coming out of the woodwork. Every time you open the paper, it's all about AI in the way it used to be all about kind of dot-com. The other end of my career. So what does this AI gold rush mean for the people in the room? Well, rather than us answering that for you, we went out and we did a piece of primary research in the middle of the year where we interviewed 1,500 AI practitioners. These people were further along in their journey than the people in the room. In general, about a third of them were in proof of concept, about 2/3 of them had been actively using AI for 3 to 5 years. And really surveyed them on how are they using it, what are they doing with it, what if they had advice for you, what advice would they give you about the things that you should think about as you go on your journey. So if you're interested, here's my gratuitous plug, if you're interested in getting any more of this, any more of the data that you're going to see over the next few slides, plus about another 82 pages of other stuff, then you can go either to S&P Global's website, or you can go to WEKA's website, just weka.io, WEKA.io, and you're able to pull down a report there called the Global Trends in AI report. We publish this each year. Before somebody asks, one of the first questions is always, what the heck is a WEKA? WEKA is a Greek unit, so in the same way that we have a peta and exa, you also have a WEKA. It's a 10 to the power 30. As well as being a small flightless bird in New Zealand. All right, so here's what we learned. Here were some of the big takeaways from the survey. So this will just give you context of who we spoke to. Without doubt, AI going mainstream in all the organisations that we surveyed. About 31% of the people said that they are earlier in their journey. They are doing proof of concepts. They're doing pilots. About 69-70% of people have got one or more AI projects in production. So the majority of the questions you're going to hear as you go along, they're going to skew to people that are a little bit further along in their journey than maybe the majority of the people in the room are. Some of them, though, are still in this kind of AI project and pilot phase. As a secondary part to that question, though, many of them realise that they are struggling to get to enterprise scale, and that's a theme that you're going to see pretty commonly through the rest of the day. A lot of people jump in, doing their science project, doing their kitchen sink experiment, proving out their model, and then trying to scale it. And when they try and scale it, they run into a significant set of challenges. So 28% of the people said that they'd kind of reached what they described as AI scale and were beginning to see business value from it. The rest of them were struggling to get there. Hold that thought, we're going to come back to it a lot. Key finding number 2 is the focus of these projects has shifted. And this is probably one of the most dramatic changes in the report. As I said, we do this each year. And a year ago, these numbers were pretty much flipped almost identically the other way around. So a year ago, people were describing that they were using AI to drive more efficiency, to help reduce costs. There was a lot of discussions of things like autopilot and auto-indexing and labeling and just adding capabilities to existing roles and existing workflows. This year, that's flipped. So this year, almost 70% of the people said that they are now using AI to generate new products, new services, new sources of revenue for their organization. And about 31% of them said that they are using it to help drive efficiency, reduce cost, automate things, add co-pilots, those kind of things. Very significant shift in just 1 year. Again, we'll come back to this point a couple of times over. So, key finding number 2, AI shifted from really being primarily used to save cost to primarily being used to generate revenue. Third key finding. So the third one focuses around the technical inhibitors. What are the things that are stopping you being successful from a technology perspective? So in reverse order, 20% of the people said that compute performance of their accelerated compute, their GPUs, their IPUs, their XPUs, their TPUs, all of these different types of accelerated compute from companies like NVIDIA and GraphCore and Cerebras and TensorTorrent and lots and lots and lots of accelerated compute. In fact, there's been $5.6 billion invested in Series A accelerated compute vendors in the last 24 months. So you're expecting there's going to be a slew of these new companies all trying to look and smell and feel like NVIDIA, and probably try and get that same valuation that NVIDIA's got as well. So, but 20% of them struggling with performance of that compute. Secondarily, maybe no surprise, security, right? Any survey that you do, security is always there. 26% of people concerned about things like governance, things like bias, things like accuracy of data, and how they're able to secure their data in an AI world. Obviously, since ChatGPT popped up, certainly after the first 2 or 3 months of everybody using it, everyone concerned that, hey, if I take my code and I dump it into ChatGPT to take that 100 lines of code and squash it down to 3 lines, who owns that code then? Do I own it? Does ChatGPT own it? Do they benefit from the IP that I just injected? Do I benefit? So a lot of concerns around security. No surprise to me that security is there. A lot of surprise to me that security is not in the #1 position. Because pretty much every survey I've seen in the last 10 years, security is always everyone's biggest concern, right? But position number 2. Position number 1 is around the management of data, which intuitively might seem a bit surprising that 32% of people are struggling with how to manage data in these larger AI and machine learning environments. That is definitely counterintuitive. Just again, hold that thought. We're going to come back to maybe why that is over the next few slides. Now, number 4, AI pioneers, people that are early in their journey, and that 39-ish%, 39, yeah, whatever, the right-hand group, the ones doing POCs, definitely favoured using the cloud. And without doubt, early in their journey, that is almost the default motion these days. If you look at all the slew of generative companies that have popped up in the last 6 to 9 months, they're almost all by default going to the cloud. Why are they going to the cloud? Because it's fast. They have no time to manage infrastructure. They want to focus on data engineering, data science, building models, stat, math, those kind of things. They don't want to focus on infrastructure, so leaping to the cloud, super obvious choice for them. It allows them to pay for it as they're going along. and they can, as I said, they can spin it up really, really quickly. What we are beginning to see, and again, we're also on a journey, we're also kind of learning about this market. What we do see is when these Series A organisations get to Series B or Series C, there is almost a 50-50 split. 50% of the companies continuing on that journey on the cloud and beginning to put more and more and more performance-intensive workloads into the cloud. The other 50% actually beginning to repatriate on-prem, primarily for security considerations. They're concerned about their data being in somebody else's cloud, performance. I know Microsoft does a whole bunch of solutions, which I'm sure you're going to learn about a little later today. But key finding number 4, people who are early in their journey definitely favouring or biasing towards the cloud, maybe no surprise. Also interesting here is that key finding number 5, people who, and again, remember these people are a little further along in their journey, they've been doing it 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, begin to get concerned on AI's impact on an organisation's energy or carbon footprint, and 74% thinking that they should maybe consider doing more and more in more sustainable environments like the cloud. Any idea in the room why that might be the case? What do you think's fueling this? Because that's also slightly counterintuitive. It's even more counterintuitive when I was in Houston a few weeks ago. But why do you think people care about energy and carbon footprint in this space?
There's the new sustainability goals that we have to meet, right? Like we have
Totally. So it's kind of the intersection of 2 things. One is increasingly, particularly in Europe right now, but I would say increasingly in North America, boards are beginning to take sustainability goals, management teams are beginning to take sustainability goals. In conjunction with that, the little known fact about GPUs is that for every dollar that you spend on a GPU today, in many places, for that dollar that you spend on a GPU, it's going to cost you an additional dollar every year to power the GPU. They're incredibly energy hungry. And when you begin to scale these environments, they consume enormous, and we'll share with you in a second how much, like enormous amounts of electricity. Okay, that's kind of a similar thing. All right, so a lot of discussion there about data, right? So that's definitely counterintuitive. Again, if I ask my oracle for all things technology, my mother, she would be surprised that it was about data, because she's like, well, AI is all about like NVIDIA and GPUs and those kind of things. So let's dig into that a little bit. So infrastructure, really since the dawn of time is a triangle. And there's 3 points on a triangle for the mathematicians in the room. On one corner is compute, on the other corner is network, and on the other corner is data and storage. And pretty much since the dawn of time, that is what computer IT infrastructure has looked like. Triangle with 3 points of the triangle. And periodically, 1 point on the triangle will make a huge leap forward and puts pressure on the other 2 points of the triangle. So how many times have we heard over the years, like, the network is the bottleneck, I'm compute bound. It's like because other points on the triangle have made a jump forward. In the last 5 years, 2 points on the triangle have made enormous leaps forward. So if people have transitioned from using traditional CPUs to using GPUs to using accelerated compute, they're now able to process data 100 to 1,000 times faster with a GPU than they can with a traditional CPU. 2 orders of magnitude faster than traditional technology. This is why NVIDIA has been so incredibly successful in this space, because they offer the ability to process data just orders of magnitude faster. Secondarily, on the network side, this year is the 10th anniversary of 100 gigabit Ethernet. Today, 200, 400 gigabit Ethernet, very common, 800 gigabit switches. If you want to get slightly more exotic and go work with somebody like a Pensando, they'll sell you 800 gigabit cards, 1.6 terabyte switches. So we're just around the corner from kind of terabit networking. So people are using these really, really fast processors, these really, really fast networks, And then they're trying to bolt on the same kind of vintage storage infrastructure they used to build their ERP system or the CRM system 20 years ago. And so why there's so much discussion about when you do this at scale, why so much discussion around data? Well, this is one of the reasons. So I'd suggest that, missing a slide here, but oh well. The previous one was my favourite one. I was going to say, unless you're still wearing Teen Spirit because you thought it was a great song, unless you're still organising the day on a file of fax, unless you're getting your social media hit over your 14.4K modem, unless you enjoy a more analog approach to Netflix and chill, then I have no idea why you're still using data and storage infrastructure from the 1990s in a world that has moved forward 2, 3, 4 orders of magnitude in terms of speed. Why does it require different type of data infrastructure, different type of storage infrastructure? Was really four core reasons. First one is that these workloads, these AI workloads, are kind of quite different than your ERP system, your CRM system, whatever it may be. Storage data infrastructure is kind of really weird because it's one market that there's never been, Microsoft, like when Microsoft owns a market, they own like 70% of the market. And that's kind of on a bad day. I'll sign this for you later as well. In storage, nobody's ever, the biggest storage company ever was EMC, and they had a whopping 32% market share. Nobody's ever dominated the market. And why is that? Because the market has reversed itself into this weird spot where it's very fractured and very fragmented. And customers, organizations have been required to make both a choice and a compromise. The choice being, do I want speed? If I want performance, then I buy block-based storage. Do I want simplicity and shareability?